One more. Good morning. It's Thursday. It is. Pretty sure. Thursday. There's the more light. And April 4th, 2024. My name is Terry Morgan. We are here to practice Tai Chi. I have the last class right now in this series. I will be doing some other things. Still haven't really decided exactly what yet, but several things that I'm working on, several things that are going to continue. So Wudang Qigong practice will continue. I've got a class scheduled for tomorrow. I'm going to still need to finish up Xingyi. Didn't do that yet. Skip class. I'm working on, I've mentioned this a couple of times, I'm working on a completely new thing that is connected to martial arts, but is not exactly the same as what I'm doing right now. It is a radio show, drama in the style of an old-time radio show. The Ambassador. I'm also producing a variety show with that story as the feature. Got a couple other things that I'm working on that go with that, and all of that is what I've been doing for the past several months. And as I move that project forward, as I put more of who I am and what I do into that effort, I want to continue these classes, but I'm going to change a few things, and there's part of that is this morning. Put this down. So this morning I'm going to show a little bit and talk a little bit about a little bit more advanced Tai Chi practice. Alright? And that's part of where I'm going with what I'm looking at doing next. Alright? So as I started learning, feet together, stand straight, pull up through the crown of the head, fingertips down at your sides, hands, fingertips are not here, they're here, closed, nice and relaxed. Relax the wrist, breathe and sink, open, raise the hands, down, ward off, step through, ward off, pull down, turn, step through, ward off, pull down, press, push. Right? This is Tai Chi practice. This is what we learn. I'm going to do just the first little bit, slowly. That one's slow. This slow. lost my balance. I stepped through, that last step through, I was not balanced over my right leg, so I had to step quickly. Better. Couple of things not quite right. Timing, placement, whole body connection, not quite right. The leg work was good. Leg work was good. All right, now, number 3, right? Feet together, stand straight. Oh, yeah, same form. Moderately fast. If I can still do this. See, now I'm checking myself while I'm going here. I'll talk about that in just a second. Clarity, not so much. Speed was there. The speed was there, but the clarity, not so much. And there's a little bit more flavor from Wudang style. So a little bit more use of my lower dantian as I'm moving. It's part of what I do. That emphasis, and I'm going to emphasize that part of what I do. That emphasis on turning the waist and using the lower dantian is something that I learned from Wudang style Tai Chi, not from Yang style Tai Chi. From Yang style, I learned much more about turning the waist and using the whole body, the connection between the shoulders and the hips as we move. So that the whole torso is fully engaged and able to move distinctly and separately. So the hips move, the waist moves, the shoulders move, the chest moves. Everything moves, it moves all together. It's not that one part is just sitting there. It's not everything holds between here and we turn. No, don't do that. It looks stiff, that's all it does. And that fluid motion is what gives us the ability to move more quickly. All right. As I've gone through step by step, I've looked at, here's the movement, here's what we're doing internally, here's the breath work, here's some of the application, here are some of the things that we pay attention to. I've gone through quite a bit of that. Try to give some examples. And what I'm looking at for what's next is to move that forward. Right? So, a couple of things. First, this kind of thing that I just did, right? It's intended to offer an opening and an additional level of understanding to what we're doing, right? If all you ever see, I'm going to start from over here. Push and push. Sink, turn the toes, Come around the center, shift the weight. Don't step up. Stay down. There you go. Single whip. Don't come up as you turn. So don't. Let me show you this. Right here. As I turn, I have to bend in order to stay at the same level. So I want my waist, my hips to stay at the same level to the floor. I have to bend the knee right here. It's easy to do this. Right? Don't do that. Don't do this. Stay down. So here, set the weight. Right here, set the weight. Now move. You don't come up. That up and down, not something that we do in traditional Yang style. Wu style uses that vertical totally. But Wu style is not spread out like Yang style. Wu style is narrow form. So it very much uses that vertical. Wudang style uses that vertical sometimes. It sometimes uses the expansion, and it uses a spiral. You saw me do that. I'll do it again, but not right now. All right? That sense that we have different methods of practice, that we practice the same movements in a different manner, that we can practice at a different speed. Turn. Single whip. Yeah, I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there. Eventually I'm gonna get there. I really am. I'm gonna get there. I am. I'm getting there. I'm going. Here we go. Here we go. I'm gonna get there. Yeah. I'm gonna get there. Oh, there it goes. Here we go. Turn the waist. All right. Timing on my backhand was a little bit off. This timing was a little bit off. But it was all right. It's okay. That was the faster movement, right? That slower movement lets me know exactly what's moving, when it's moving, how it's moving, is it moving? That precision that has to be there when you're moving slowly. You can't miss it. You can't. You're moving too slow. You can't miss it. That precision is what gives you the ability to move more quickly. If your movements are sloppy, you can move fast. Your movement's going to look sloppy. Mine do. Most of the time, no, they don't. Not anymore. But there's a couple of times where, yeah, it could be better. Could be more clear. It could. And that's always going to be true. It's always going to be true. Every time we practice, every time we do something, there will be a part of what we do that is just exactly what we're trying to do. Just exactly what we're trying to do. And there will be something could be better. Even if it's perfect, it still could be better. Because that workmanship, that idea that no matter how good we get, we can always be better. There's always some nuance, there's always some part of the movement, there's always some part of the underlying movement, the internal workmanship, moving the internal breath, moving the internal energy, moving the qi, internal breath, moving the jing, internal energy, paying attention to the spirit, shen, paying attention to the intent, yi, mind, paying attention to the heart, shin. All of these come together in the physical practice with the physical breath to develop the form. There's always something to work on. There's always going to be something to work on. That recognition that I'm going to learn this, and then there's another layer, and then there's another layer, and then there's another layer, and there's still more. That's what's kept me going all these years. There's always something more. I can do this really well. I could get it better. I could improve it. How can I improve it? Well, I could do this and this and this and that. Oh, well, let me practice this and much of that practice, and I'm going to start with this while I'm talking. Feet. Nice horse stance, right? Yeah, let me do this. Let me do it right. All right. Feet together. I don't care where your hands are right now. Feet together. Shift back on the heels. Turn the toes 45 on the toes. Turn the heels out. Turn the toes out again and turn the heels out. Turn the toes straight. Sit. That's your horse stance. Stay there. Foundation practice, Taiji practice. This idea of how we move, what we're doing in the movement, the combinations and the things that we are doing are all things that can always be improved. I could practice for another 20 years. Yeah, I might be able to do that. I actually might. 30 is probably not going to happen, but 20 I might be able to do that. Practice for another 20 years and I still would be looking at how to perfect my movements. That continuous practice and that effort to continually get better at what we're doing is the foundation of all of our practice. It's let me do this today. I'm going to be great. No, I'm going to do this today. I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to do it the day after. I'm going to do it the day after that. And then I'm going to keep doing it because, well, I can always get better. That as long as I keep practicing, as long as I keep doing what I'm doing, I can get better. I shift to the right and shift to the left. All right, circle. On my going to the right knee, circle around the toes, back to the heel, shift in. On the left heel, change the weight. Left heel, left toes, back to the heel, and back to the right. Circle here, come through, figure eight. Right hand up, right hand with the right foot, right elbow with the right knee, shoulder over the hip. Turn. Other side. Cloud hands. Foundation practice, right? The more we do it, the better we get at it. Ward off, press, pull down, push. this particular posture, the way that I'm using cloud hands. As I come across level, that circle is forward and round, more to the sides than up and down. And yet it is, there is that up and down aspect to it. It stays through the shoulders, the middle tantien, and the lower tantien. Keep going. Relax through the hip, sink more. Keep going. 2 more. Turn. And come to center. Pull the feet up. That practice could be better. It could be better. I could have paid a little more attention to my mid-back. I could have paid a little more attention to ward off as I come around to the outside. Ward off press, pull down push. As we pay attention to the movement itself, where's my hand supposed to be? It's right here. This is where it carries across. What am I doing? What's possible? What should I be paying attention to make whatever it is that I might be doing possible? I have to pay attention to my elbow, because I could use it. It's possible. Good. I need to pay attention to my forearm as it comes across, and ward off and press. So I need to pay attention to that. As the hand comes around, pull down. So that effort to pull down happens through the whole body. It's not just my hand, but I have to pay attention to it. And then push. Again, that idea that as I'm using that application, push as an application, as I'm using that application, I'm paying attention to the movement, the particular movement that has that application as the intent, right? This doesn't have push as the intent. It could, but normally it wouldn't, right? The same here. This really is never going to have push as the intent. It's not. This might. I could push with my shoulder, I can push with my hip, I could push with my leg, I push with my foot. That intent behind is part of what we need to practice. It's part of all of the movements that we do. So, we move slowly. We develop skill in being precise in each movement. We know exactly where we need to be at exactly what time, right? Where do I need to be? What am I doing? What might I be doing? So, physical movement, what am I doing? application, what might I be doing? There's usually several opportunities there. That combination has to be clear, it has to be present, and as we continue to practice, we develop more and more capability to do what we want to do within each movement. It's not today I can do this, tomorrow I can do that. It's today I can do this, tomorrow I can do this, tomorrow I'm still working on this, and tomorrow I'm still going to be working on this. Yeah, and the day after I might be able to do that. That process of development isn't just the recognition that it's possible, or that this exists, or that we could do something. It's physical development. We have to practice. We have to do more. All right. So, in Yang style Tai Chi, I'm wrapping up here. The very first part of the form, moderately, I'm going to moderate. Okay. I am going to skip the repetition for brush knee. I talked about this last time with the idea that we have brush knee, hand strum the lute, brush knee, brush knee, brush knee, hand strum the lute, brush knee. All right, that repetition I'm going to skip in this set. We'll move moderately slowly. I'm not going to do the real slow because that would take a while. It will take a while. I might do that as a special set, but not right now. Moderately slow, just nice moderate pace, and then quickly. Feet together, stand straight. Pull up through the back, pull up through the crown of the head. Not too fast, not too slow. Salute. Relax the breath, breathe in, breathe out. And breathe in. Sink. Open. Raise the hands. Press down. Shift. Ward off. Step through. Ward off. Pull down. Turn. Step through. Grasp the bird's tail. Pull down. Press. Push. Single whip. And raise your hands. Turn. White crane spreads its wings. Brush knee. Step up. Hand strum the lute. Skip that whole set. And shift back. Deflect downward. Parry and punch. Close the door. Turn. Crossing hands. Stay there. Alright. As we move through this set, each movement in good time, each movement well placed, paying attention to footwork, paying attention to placement, paying attention to how the movements are connected. And as I talked about that timing that we get from moving slowly, yes, I am checking my space. Thank you. I am. Need to do that. All right. Relax. Breathe. Faster. Being able need to know where you're going, right? So you have to know the movements, you have to know where you're going. You have to know where those movements are in the form. What position do I need to hit where? You saw me check, and I called it out, I'm checking my space as I got ready to start. I need to make sure that with the stepping that I was using, with the speed that I was going, that I wasn't going to walk into the wall. I don't want to do that. It's not a good thing to do. The wall is not going to move. It's not. All right? That recognition. I need this much space. This is where my step is going to hit. This is where this posture is going to be. This is how much room I need to execute this movement. If I know all of that, I know what else can go with that movement. I know the underlying basis for the movement. I know how to use it in space, right? Here's the space that I have. How can I use this turn in this space, right? If I know each movement, I'm going to be here, and then I'll be here, and then I'm going to close, and I end up right here. I can find those marks, I can hit them. If I don't know how far to put my feet, where this movement is going to show up, how it moves, right? As I come around here, single whip, this hand comes up, around, and up again. Comes up here, down, and up again. That's the move. Raise your hands. White crane spreads its wings. Simple, right? It is. It really is simple. It's supposed to be. It's not, the overly complicated stuff is overly complicated. There is so much going on here. Pull down, ward off, that as I'm paying attention to just this particular physical movement, internal connection through the lower dantian, internal connection through the heel, the jiaogan, through the bubbling well, the yongchuan, in the base of the foot, pull up and press down, opening through the back. All sorts of things are going on just in this one movement. I would rather pay attention to that than, and I'm going to show this, but don't do it. Don't do this. No, don't do that. Or anything like that. No. there is a part of the outward expression of the internal energy that is mistaken, misrepresented, misunderstood, misguided, misguided oftentimes, that is not, it's not real. That internal energy comes, that workmanship comes from what we practice internally. It doesn't come from the outward affectation. The example that I've used repeatedly is the end of a whip. I have a stick handle thing, probably about yay long. It's got a long tail on it. It's got a whip. Send that whip out, it's going to snap back. It will snap back at me if I don't pay attention to what I do with that handle. Right? I want to send the tail out. I don't want to send the handle out. I don't want to do some fancy thing with the handle over here. Fancy thing with the handle. No. I want the whip. I want to be able to use that whip. That idea is what we want to have in, for me, all of my internal practice. That as we develop the internal workmanship, as we develop the internal strength, as we develop the internal energy, we're able to combine that with the movement so that the outward appearance reflects what we're doing inwardly. Not the outward appearance is affected right? No. Yes. Yeah, all right, I'll take that. The first one, no. Right? That turn through the waist, through the lower Taijiquan, to extend through both arms and to open the stance, comes from the lower Taijiquan. It doesn't come from my foot, it doesn't come from my hands, it doesn't come from my shoulders, it doesn't come from my back, it comes from the lower Taijiquan. Developing that skill is something that I'll probably pay attention to a little bit more as I move into what I'm going to be doing next. This idea that we have basic practice. Here's the basic form. Basic form, feet together, stand straight, salute, right? Open the feet, raise the hands, press down, turn the yang style. I'm still with yang style here. This is basic form. Not bent very much, not just going through the motions here. That's okay. That would have been okay for a practice class. Just going through the motions. I want to check what postures, I want to check what position, I'm going to check, do I know what comes next? Because at the beginning you don't. You're trying to learn. Okay, I do this, now what? What do I do next? I remember that we got to get here. Okay, so I do this and then I do this, right? No. That's not what we do. It's not the traditional form. I could do that. I could. That's not the traditional form. We have to learn the form. What do I do next? Then we start to refine it. I know what I'm supposed to do next. The movements start to become smoother, more continuous. We develop the skill to look at the transition between the movements. How do I get from one to the next? then we start to develop more refinements, more skill in doing each movement. We develop more strength, we develop more flexibility, we refine the muscles, tendons, and ligaments so that our movements are fluid and smooth, the transitions between the movements are smooth, and we have the resilience to continue over time. So it's not 2 seconds practice, 5 minutes practice. We did some horse stance practice this morning. We have the resilience to continue over time. Long form takes a while, especially if you're going slow. It does. That skill, developing all of those skills, is part of what we do. It's not all. There's, what am I doing philosophically? What's the emotional impact on my well-being from practice? There's physical, there's quite a bit actually. What's my, how does my outlook change as I develop my skills? What changes for me? Not because I wanted it to, but just because it did. And isn't that nice that I didn't have to work at that? Isn't that nice? That sense of development and accomplishment is absolutely something we want to create for ourselves as part of our practice. I did this, I got better at it. Oh look, I did that, isn't that nice? I could do better. I could. But that was pretty nice. I'm okay with that. That sense and that it's not really reward, it's not really congratulations. It's more recognition. I did it. And it's not, everybody else out there has to see that I did it. I've done a lot of things in practice that nobody else ever sees. Nobody's ever going to see. I did it really well too. Nobody's going to see it. You may see the result of some of that practice. Did that this morning. But parts of that practice are always and ever only going to be yours. It's not group practice that's going to make you good. Going to group practice helps. It does. Social, it has its own kinds of rewards. It has its own kinds of challenges, and it has all kinds of things that will make you a better person as a practitioner, because you're around other people who are practicing. And that in and of itself is an advantage. But what's going to make you good at what you do is what you do. Not what somebody else does, not what somebody else sees, not what somebody else asks you to do. What you do, what you ask you to do. I ask me to do a lot. I do. And that has given me quite a bit of understanding, of ability, of skill. And it gives me a sense of confidence and placement that I wouldn't have otherwise. Placement in the sense of knowing where I am. Emotionally, physically, mentally, I know. I have days that I wasn't here yesterday, and it wasn't a good day. I've had some of those recently. Today was a good day. Recognizing that. Yeah, you have to. if you're going to, today's not a good day, so certain things I'm not going to do today. Great, all right? What about tomorrow? Don't let, and this is one of the things that I've learned over the years, don't let life stop you. No, it's going to interfere. Things will happen. If you allow what happens to stop your practice, pause for a day, a couple of days, even a couple of weeks. You pause, come back. That coming back, every time you come back, your practice gets stronger. Just get up and come back to practice. That will make your practice strong. Even if you don't do very much, it will make your practice stronger because you got up and did it. The next time that you feel like, just get up and go do it. All right? Just get up and go do it. It'll be all right. Get started. Do something. Maybe you don't practice for very long. Maybe it's 10 minutes. Maybe it's 20 minutes. Maybe it's 5 minutes. Maybe it's, this ain't going to happen. Right? Find out. The only way to find out is ask yourself. Try. Ask yourself. And listen to the answer. Listening to what you're doing, paying attention to all of the things that you should pay attention to. What should I be paying attention to? I'm going to start my practice. Salute. Body straight. I could talk about that salute at length too. Body straight, relax the breath, shoulders down, pay attention to the connections, keep the body well placed, and sink, stay centered, open, come to center, raise the hands, press down, open the back, keep the back straight, open through the legs, pull up through the hips. Pull up through the Hui-Yin. Keep the hips and the shoulders connected. Step through. Same thing here. Turn. This hand, pull down. Pay attention. And step through. Turn. Pull down. Sink into the back leg. Press. Through the legs, not over. Shift back. Push. Single whip. Turn the foot. Pay attention to the weight. Open. Shift. Raise your hands. Turn. White crane spreads its wings. Turn. Fresh knee. Step up. Hamstring the loop. Fresh knee. Shift back. Deflect downward. Parry. And punch. Shift back. Close the door. And turn. Crossing hands. Open. Press down and straighten. Close the foot. Salute. Last part here, guy was running into the wall, so there's a little bit off, but it's all right. That sense of, I talked about this before, you can't run into the wall, it's not going to move. It's concrete block, it's not going to move. That sense of placement, position, where are you, as I was preparing. Right? So, I'm here, deflect downward, parry, and punch. Now, I'll go this way. And I emphasized my leg work there. That placement, that was good. Do that. Paying attention, balance and placement, knowing where you are, knowing where you're supposed to be going. Paying attention to all of these things. Takes time. Takes practice. It's not a one time, all of a sudden, now I've got it, now I can do it. So, one time, now I've got it, I think. Let me go practice for a little bit and see if I really do have it. And then, what am I doing? What might I be doing? What's the internal combination, connection? What am I working with? What applications might there be? All of these things are part of our practice. They're not separate things. As we start out, paying attention to all of that just isn't possible. We're human. We can't do it. We can't. No matter how much we want, we can't. It has to be broke. We have to break it down somehow. How are we going to do that? Well, we can break it down in multiple ways. Each person has their own ability to receive. How we receive what information is part of our own learning process. The better we understand how we learn, the easier it is for us to learn. That recognition is something that I have had for a long time. How do I learn? What do I need to do? Paying attention to it, paying attention to the elements that I look at as being important, which are quite a few actually, and paying attention to the traditional teaching. What is this art? Where does it come from? Where are the origins for this art? Why would somebody do this? Right? Why do we practice Tai Chi? Those foundations are, lots and lots of books written on that. That study, and again, this idea that there's always something more. There's always something that we can do better. That no matter how good we get at whatever it is we're doing, we can always get better. And that we look at what we're doing with that perception, with that idea that I'm not trying to be critical just to be critical. Trying to be critical so I can get better. Well, all right, check your balance all right over here, Terry. Check your balance. Don't lean, don't go forward because you're off balance now. You're already leaning. You're already way over your knee, right? I'm over my knee. My weight's already going this way, right? Now it's not. That difference, a little bit of difference, makes all the difference in how we move and how we develop our movements. Each little bit that we're able to add day by day. Each little bit adds up. Talked about this repeatedly, and it's a good way to end this particular series. Each time we practice, each time we do a little bit more, each time we do something well and we recognize it, each time we do something, and we recognize that, we develop more skill. We improve our practice. We improve what we are able to do, what we're able to see, and how we are able to continue over time. Not today, tomorrow, next week, next month. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 40, 50. For some of you, maybe 40, 50 years from now, you could still be practicing and enjoying it. I appreciate everyone who has followed me through the series. I appreciate everybody who's been here with me today. I will be back tomorrow with Wudang Qigong. I will be continuing to teach classes. This is not the last class. This is the last class in this particular series. So I'll be back with some announcements and some new things coming up. I appreciate, again, everyone who's been here and everyone who's following. Thank you.